Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Healthy. Today we're diving into a topic that touches many of us, especially as we navigate our liuxies and beyond. Feeling tired. Not just a little tired, but that persistent nagging fatigue that can color every aspect of our lives. But what if I told you that the feeling of being constantly drained, the brain fog that descends, the aches and pains that seem to plague us what if these aren't just the inevitable consequences of aging, but rather signals from our bodies? Signals that perhaps we are inadvertently causing ourselves to feel this way, and that the solution might be simpler and more powerful than we've been led to believe. Let me ask you, do any of these symptoms sound familiar? Chronic fatigue, persistent joint pain, muscle aches, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or acid reflux? What about congestion, allergies, asthma, sinus issues, brain fog, headaches, insomnia, depression, anxiety, or mood swings, perhaps weight gain, those stubborn cravings, or just difficulty losing weight, or maybe issues with your skin, like acne, eczema, or psoriasis, canker sores, frequent colds, feeling run down and sick often, a low libido, premenstrual symptoms, PCOS, or menopausal challenges. If you answered yes to any of these, you might, as I like to call it, have FLC syndrome. Now, what exactly is FLC syndrome? Simply put, it means you feel like crap. And I know exactly what I'm talking about. Millions of people walk around feeling this way, believing it is just part of life, but it doesn't have to be. I coined the term FLC syndrome after seeing thousands of patients in my clinical practice. These are the low GAN level, insidious symptoms that slowly chip away at our energy and joy, holding us back from feeling truly great and living our best lives. They are our body's way of saying, hey, something is going on beneath the surface, and you need to pay attention. These are not normal conditions. They are not part of the human design. And critically, when left unaddressed, these symptoms can often spiral into more serious chronic diseases down the line. The most disheartening part, FLC syndrome has become so incredibly common that it's been normalized. But just because something is common doesn't make it normal. In fact, it's anything but normal. The really good news, the crucial takeaway message today, is that we have far more control over how we feel and how healthy we are than we've been led to believe. The deep connection between what we eat, how we live, and how we feel is fundamental. We've simply never been taught how to make these connections, so we continue to live lifestyles that leave us feeling subpar, and it's truly not our fault. After all, who received the operating manual for the human body at birth? Today's episode is all about equipping you with the knowledge to make better food choices that will serve your health, so you can start feeling better. And better soon. I've always said my goal is to help you turn your body back to its original factory settings. Most of us don't realize we are just a few days away from feeling significantly better. Through years of treating patients, I discovered that many of these FLC syndrome symptoms stem from one common root cause: chronic, low GAN level systemic inflammation. You might not feel it acutely, but it's there, silently driving all these various symptoms. And what is the most powerful way to combat this inflammation? It's through our food phase specifically, by removing the inflammatory triggers and incorporating the nourishing, beneficial foods. You truly are what you eat. New cells, organs, tissues, brain cells, skin, muscles, and bones aren't manufactured from thin air. The raw materials all come from the food we consume. The very structure of our cells, which dictates our function and how good or bad we feel, is built from what we eat. Let me pose a powerful question. Would you rather be made of Doritos or perhaps grass-GAN fed steak? Would you rather be made of Coca-GAN cola or wild blueberries? It's not too difficult to figure that out, is it? The science behind the fuel, food as information, this relationship between what we eat and how we feel, at its deepest level, comes down to the impact of food on our DNA and something called gene expression. We cannot change our genes, but we absolutely can change how our genes are expressed. Fate, whether we turn on our health gen promoting genes or our disease gen. This evolving field known as nutrigenomics or nutrigenetics is illuminating this very connection. Nutrigenomics is the study of how food interacts with our bodies to create either health or disease. Simply put, food is code. With every single bite, you are either upgrading or downgrading your biological software. The information conveyed by our food communicates with our genes, controlling their expression and impacting our hormones, metabolism, immune system, microbiome, brain chemistry, and so much more. When we ingest calories, is a calorie truly just a calorie? In the sterile environment of a laboratory, yes, a calorie is a unit of energy. 1,000 calories of Coca-Cola and 1,000 calories of broccoli, when burned in isolation, release the same amount of energy. But when you eat those calories, the effect on your body is profoundly different. They are not identical when consumed. We understand that food provides energy in the form of calories. Digested food breaks down into vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and carbohydrates. Combined with the oxygen we breathe, this generates energy within our cells in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, often referred to as the energy currency of life. ATP powers every single biological process in our bodies every second. However, when we clog our cellular engines with junk food, our energy production declines, inflammation and oxidative stress rise, and our risk for disease, and those FLC syndrome symptoms, increases. Why fuel quality matters. Beyond calories, think of the food you eat as the fuel you put into your car. High gen quality, clean gen burning foods are akin to premium gasoline. Conversely, ultra gen processed foods are like dirty diesel, running on fuel made from starches, sugars, refined grains, additives, preservatives, and often contaminated with toxins like BPA, PFAs, and phthalates. Not exactly ideal for our internal engines, are they? Crucially, this junk food also lacks the essential nutrients our biological engines need to run smoothly. Vitamins and minerals are the grease that lubricates the wheels of our metabolic engine. Without them, we get into trouble. When we burn this dirty fuel, it creates a lot of free radicals, also known as reactive oxygen species. Think of them like the pollution or exhaust coming from our cellular mitochondria. This causes inflammation, more oxidative stress, and contributes to those FLC syndrome symptoms and chronic disease. Our bodies do produce their own antioxidants to protect us from this damage. However, over time, constant exposure to environmental toxins, infections, food sensitivities, excessive calorie intake, a poor diet, an unhealthy microbiome, and nutrient deficiencies can overwhelm these protective mechanisms. This leads to mitochondrial damage and an energy crisis within our cells, ultimately causing chronic disease. Poorly functioning mitochondria are indeed an underlying root cause of many FLC syndrome symptoms and a vast array of chronic diseases, including obesity, diabetes, heart disease, gastrointestinal issues, dementia, Parkinson's, chronic fatigue, and fibromyalgia. In fact, a study published in the British Medical Journal, BMJ linked ultra-gen processed foods to censure adverse health outcomes, including cancer, all gen cause mortality, insomnia, depression, anxiety, asthma, hypertension, and fatty liver disease. Research on chronic fatigue syndrome has found that individuals suffering from it often have diets high in sugar and starch, leading to blood sugar spikes, low fruit and vegetable intake, and extremely low fiber intake. When you consume a diet high in sugar and starch, Your pancreas releases insulin to shuttle glucose into your cells for energy. However, sometimes insulin overshoots, causing your blood sugar to drop too rapidly. This hypoglycemia can trigger the release of fight or flight hormones, like adrenaline and cortisol, leading to symptoms like anxiety, palpitations, sweating, panic attacks, and nervousness. Over time, these blood sugar roller coasters and elevated insulin levels create more free radicals, more inflammation, and more insulin resistance. A vicious cycle that fuels FLC syndrome, weight gain, and hormonal imbalances. The core strategy, resetting your system, the key to fixing FLC syndrome, is making that critical connection between what you eat and how you feel. This means, for a short period, removing the most common dietary culprits: gluten, dairy, ultra-GAN processed foods, grains, and beans. Think of it like hitting the reset button on your computer, or returning your body to its original factory settings. You can achieve this in just a few days. I wrote a book about this, The Age-Defying Day Detox Diet, about 10 years ago because I was repeatedly explaining the same core principles to patients. This book provides a practical guide to implementing this reset. The results we've seen are often dramatic and happen very quickly. When you fuel your body with the opposite Phe clean, high-GAN quality fuel Phe, you help balance sex hormones, boost energy, and significantly reduce inflammation. What is clean fuel? The anti-GAN inflammatory diet Clean Fuel is unequivocally real. Nutrient GAN dense whole food. This is food that contains all the essential nutrients: proteins, vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and fiber. Helps maintain stable blood sugar levels. Keeps you feeling full and energized for longer periods. Is crucial for protecting your mitochondria and maintaining optimal health. The functional medicine approach, taking action, our approach at the Health Doctor, is simple. Remove the bad stuff. Eliminate inflammatory and problematic foods. Add the good stuff. Incorporate nutrient GAN dense healing foods. I've developed a straightforward approach, an elimination and reintroduction diet, to help you reset your body and identify how your FLC syndrome symptoms are linked to your diet. Step E. Removing the bad stuff. Ultra-GAN processed foods. These are engineered to be hyper-GAN palatable and addictive. They are loaded with added sugars, refined flours, unhealthy fats, sodium, refined oils, and artificial ingredients like gums, flavors, and dyes. They are critically low in the nutrients our bodies need: emulsifiers and thickeners, ingredients like carrageenan, xanthan gum, and locust bean gum. Commonly found in processed foods, can irritate the gut lining, contribute to leaky gut, and drive that low-GAN grade systemic inflammation that underlies FLC syndrome. Center aisles, the processed junk, is primarily found in the center aisles of the grocery store. Stay out of them as much as possible. Sugar, grains, and dairy. These are often the top 3 inflammatory culprits. Sugar. Eliminate all forms, including syrups, nectar, honey, artificial sweeteners, and sugar alcohols. Just quit it cold turkey for 10 days. You can do anything for 10 days. Your body will tell you if it likes it or not. At the end of 10 days, you'll likely know if your symptoms have resolved or if something else is at play. Gluten. Today's wheat, often hybridized and with higher gluten and starch content than in past centuries, can be highly inflammatory. Furthermore, much of today's wheat is sprayed with glyphosate, a weed killer that acts like an antibiotic, decimating our good gut bacteria and damaging the gut lining, leading to increased intestinal permeability or leaky gut. Even gluten-GAN-free products are often worse because they can be even more starchy. Avoid bagels, wraps, pasta, pastries, and bread. Dairy. Industrial, conventionally raised dairy can be problematic due to hormones, antibiotics, and inflammatory compounds that can trigger immune responses. Avoid flavored and sweetened yogurts or kefirs, which can contain as much sugar as soda. Stick to plain, unflavored varieties, and consider sheep or goat dairy, or a fake cow dairy, which are often better tolerated. Also, avoid drinking liquid sugar, including fruit juices. Even healthy ones like orange or apple juice are essentially liquid sugar, sugary beverages, and even many green juices, smoothies, or kombuchas that can have significant amounts of sugar. Step R, adding the good stuff. When you fuel your body correctly, your blood sugar balances, inflammation decreases, and those addictive cravings often disappear by day 2 or 3. You'll want to eat nutrient-dense, whole foods that support optimal health, quality protein. Aim for about a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Excellent sources include wild game, elk, venison, bison, grass-fed beef, wild caught fishes, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, herring, pasture-raised chicken, turkey, and pheasant. Organic, non-GMO soy like tofu or tempeh can be okay if processed in a way that makes them easier to digest and less reactive. Pasture-raised eggs are also a great choice. Healthy fats, good fats don't make you fat. Replace unhealthy vegetable oils, soybean, canola, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, corn oil, hydrogenated oils, margarine, and shortening with healthy fats. Anti-inflammatory omega-fusen found in the small smashes fish mentioned above, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp seeds. Monounsaturated fats, olive oil, macadamia nuts, avocados, almond oil, and macadamia nut oil are excellent. Saturated fats, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, and ghee can be tolerated by many, but be aware of how your body responds. Prebiotic fiber. Aim for censured and wushagrams daily to feed and grow your beneficial gut bacteria. This is crucial for healing leaky gut and reducing FLC syndrome. Non-starchy vegetables. Fill your plate with these. Aim for liu-ba cups daily, which is more like Shaba Irving's. Non-starchy vegetables are key to controlling blood sugar and reducing inflammation. The more color, the better. Kale, broccoli, lettuce, radishes, arugula, celery, bok choy, asparagus, bell peppers, watercress, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, tomatoes, dandelion greens, hearts of palm, eggplant, fruit. You can have fruit, but in moderation. About half a cup of berries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, wild blueberries, or 1 piece of fruit per day is ideal. Limit higher sugar tropical fruits like pineapple, bananas, and mangoes. As they can spike blood sugar, avoid fruit juice entirely, as it's essentially liquid sugar without the beneficial fiber. Spices and herbs, use them freely. Cinnamon, fenugreek, ginger, turmeric, berberine, oregano, and sage are all great for their anti-inflammatory and medicinal properties. Putting it all together, the Shujan Day Detox Diet. Will link instructions for the Shujan Day Detox Diet in the show notes. I once guided Liaoning people through this detox. In just 10 days, they collectively lost 10 pounds. They shed an average of 2 inches from their waistlines and 6 inches from their hips. Their average blood sugar dropped Shaba points, and blood pressure decreased by Shi points. But the most remarkable finding, all their FLC syndrome symptoms improved by an average of 5 This included reductions in fatigue, migraines, irritable bowel symptoms, reflux, joint and muscle pain, rashes, hives, acne, depression, anxiety, binge eating, and cravings. There is no drug on the planet that can produce results like these Faye, except for food. As we wrap up, remember, this isn't about imposing strict, arbitrary dietary limitations or creating a fear of occasional indulgence. It's about empowering ourselves to make informed choices that truly nourish our bodies. We must reject the complacency of simply accepting symptoms as normal when we are just a few days away from feeling genuinely good. So the good news is, you are likely just a few days away from feeling significantly better and getting rid of your FLC syndrome symptoms. If you found this video helpful, be sure to check out the next one. Thank you for joining me today on The Health Doctor.